Hello, my name is Grayson, and today I'll be presenting my research on the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This case is not only about the tragic murder of a political figure, but also about what it reveals regarding the state of political violence, public safety, and polarization in the United States. On September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was assassinated while speaking at Utah Valley University. The attack happened during a live stream event, which meant the shock spread instantly across the nation. This tragedy exposed significant flaws in event security and showed how vulnerable public figures can be, especially when engaging large crowds. Beyond the personal loss, the assassination sparked nationwide debates about extremism, free speech, and the breakdown of civil discourse. Why this matters. Kirk's assassination wasn't an isolated act, it was part of a disturbing national trend of escalating political violence. On June 14th, 2025, Minnesota lawmakers were targeted in their homes. Representative Melissa Hortman and her spouse were killed, while Senator John Hoffman and his spouse narrowly survived. Just a few months later, on September 24th, gunfire erupted at the Federal Immigration Office in Dallas. These attacks make it clear that extremists are increasingly willing to use violence as a political weapon. They also show how deeply our shared norms are eroding. Disagreement is no longer treated as debate, but as something to be silenced through hostility or force. That is why Charlie Kirk's assassination must be seen as a national crisis. The government's response had both successes and failures. Law enforcement acted quickly but made serious mistakes early on. Two innocent people were wrongly detained before the real suspect, Tyler Robinson, was identified and arrested. Robinson now faces the death penalty in Utah. In addition, government agencies began reviewing event security protocols to prevent similar attacks in the future. Universities and other institutions hosting high-profile speakers started reevaluating how they protect public figures, making coordination and prevention a top priority. Outside of government, the responses were just as revealing. The media played a significant role. Some outlets responsibly framed their event as an example of political extremism, while others minimized it or used it for partisan spin. MSNBC even fired one of its analysts, Matthew Dowd, for example, who said this after learning about Charlie Kirk getting shot.
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
After he made dismissive remarks about the shooting, on social media the situation was even worse. Thousands of users celebrated Kirk's death online, normalizing political violence and showing how toxic online spaces have become. But there were also positive responses. Communities and faith groups organized vigils and unity events to honor Kirk's life and reject violence. Some universities and employers disciplined individuals who glorified the assassination, sending a strong message about the boundaries of acceptable discourse in a democratic society. In conclusion, the assassination of Charlie Kirk revealed just how fragile both security and public discourse have become in America. While law enforcement and communities ultimately showed resilience, early failures, media irresponsibility, and toxic online reactions worsened the crisis. The urgent lessons we should take away are stronger event security and better coordination between agencies, responsible, unbiased media coverage in times of crisis, and a collective rejection of political violence as a regular part of public life. If we don't internalize these lessons, polarization and extremism will continue to erode our democracy, and democracy cannot survive if violence becomes normal. Charlie Kirk may be gone, but he will not be forgotten. Thank you for the time.